Welcome back. And tragic news is coming in from the IT capital of the country, Bengaluru, where a 23-year-old Soundarya and her 9-month-old baby daughter Leela, they died due to electrocution on Sunday. The two had come into contact with a live wire that had fallen on a footpath. The Bengaluru Electricity Supply Company has suspended 5 of the officials for the negligence and issued show-cause notices to 2 other senior officers. But that's hardly enough. 2 lives have been lost. Karnataka Energy Minister KJ George also took note of the incident and ordered the suspension of the officials. While the state government has announced 5 lakh rupees compensation, BJP has lashed out at the Congress government, calling it irresponsible and corrupt. The question remains, as the urban death traps in Bengaluru continue to claim lives, has the civic apathy trumped the civic duty and the moral responsibility of the government to do their job? Sometimes it's potholes, then it's urban flooding, and now these live wires. We seek the questions and accountability from the elected government of the day here on Brass Tacks tonight.
ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಕಾಪಾಡು ಕಾಪಾಡು ನಿನ್ನ ಮೊಮ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಕಾಪಾಡು ಅಮ್ಮ ಅಂದ್ಲು. ನಮ್ಮನೆಗೂ ಬಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ಗೂ 2 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ದೂರ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಾನು ರೋಡ್ಗೂ ಬಂದೆ.
ಅಂತ ಉನ್ನತ ಹುದ್ದೆಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ
On the broadcast is Aishwarya Mahadev, the spokesperson of the Congress party, Dr. Narendra Rangappa, the spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP, is joining us on the broadcast. Good evening to both of you. Aishwarya, I'm sure you must have seen that visual that has gone viral on social media. It is something that has been played out on the national television as well, of course, with the disturbing part of that visual being blurred out. But can we really imagine that in the IT capital of the country, there is a live wire, there is a young her baby who lose their lives, and all we have as a response is suspension of 5 officials. I'm sure you wouldn't be happy with that as a responsible citizen.
Good evening. I think what has happened is not unfortunate, but absolutely heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. I think nobody, irrespective of dispensation, irrespective of where they are, has or should ever be put through something like that and to lose their lives, and especially young lives that are lost. And I believe that at this point, the strongest condemnation, irrespective of which side of the political spectrum I am from, is something that has to be offered. There are 2 very important questions here, and irrespective of political dispensation over the years, Bangalore city faces 2 big issues, and also in the state. One is of accountability, and second is how do you really solve this issue? On the issue of accountability, let me not make this political. I will tell you that there has been a prompt response. Yes, compensation will never make do for the life that is lost. Yes, suspension may not. But the minister has openly gone on to say that the accountability squarely lies with the electricity supply company and larger with the ministry, and will look to address this, has not abdicated any responsibility whatsoever. There is an inquiry. Mr. Bilgi himself, the MD of BESCOM, also has been put in the spotlight to have the investigation in order to apportion blame. I believe the only way to tackle this is to have strong enough and strict enough action, and it cannot just
Aishwarya,
be
I shudder when I think that is there a live wire in any other part of the city which is just lying in this manner, which can claim any other life? Is there an audit that this company is doing? The questions are far more serious than suspension and the head of the company taking some kind of accountability. We need an audit. We need action on criminal negligence. And this is much more than suspensions and few statements from the ministers. Yes, please.
Can I just answer? Yes. So with the media especially, you're absolutely right. I believe that even that there has to be far more cooperation and far more collaboration between citizenry and machinery to ensure and look at danger zones so that the government can fix it. I believe that there are civic action groups that are also in conversation, and understood the suspension is not enough, but I believe culpability is far more important. And I think that the fact we're signaling in the right direction with 2 high officers also being given notice on this. And lastly, let me just add, Bangalore, especially with its variety or myriad of agencies creates a large confusion as to who's accountable where. And this is an appropriate time for us to fix and right a lot of wrongs. And I believe Mr. KJ George, Mr. DK Shivkumar, and the Congress government will ensure that this happens. And this is not political.
You know,
This is
wherever there are local authorities, they're responsible. But I believe the state government can address all of those concerns. Dr. Narendra Rangappa, do you buy what the Congress party is saying? Are you satisfied with the kind of explanations or the actions that have been taken by the elected government of the day? Dr. Rangappa.
See, let me start by condoling the family of the unfortunate victims of neglect that has happened in Bengaluru. The Congress government is shedding a tear, and should I say it's a crocodile tear, because the Congress government is squabbling among itself, the ministers are squabbling amongst themselves, there is no coordination, and there is an open declaration by the government that there will be no money issued for any developmental works. And this is not an isolated incident, ma'am. A few days back, a lady who was going on a two-wheeler, she slipped and she held on to something to support her and she got electrocuted.
Yes.
And a few days back, a lady walking home from work who waded into the water pool that was lying on the roadside got electrocuted. And Congress is still shedding a crocodile. Who is responsible for this? The minister in charge, is he not responsible? Why should he make a scapegoat of the five lowly officials? You should have taken moral responsibility rather than shedding away the moral responsibility. See, they are busy asking for DCMs, ministries, collecting money and sending them to other states for funding. This is the activity that Congress is making, and the government is paralyzed. They are not doing any work, and this is a classical glaring example of neglect on the part of the Congress government.
Aishwarya, you're right that in various instances, it's the local authorities, local bodies which are directly responsible. But for God's sake, it's the IT capital of the country. It's the city of Bengaluru, which we all are very proud of for the kind of ecosystem it has created, the startups and the business that it's creating. The dream of a 5 trillion economy cannot be complete without Bengaluru really thriving and surviving. But if you have roads which have become death traps, if a young mother and her 9-month-old baby can die because of electrocution, or a girl riding a scooty can once again get a shock, or just slip into urban flooding, what kind of cities are we creating? When the Congress party was elected to power, it was elected to power on the promise of a good governance. Are you really delivering that, especially in an urban center like Bengaluru?
I honestly believe that in this debate, the BJP spokesperson would rise above politics and talk about what is an issue that, as bipartisan as it has to be, all of us have to come together.
Madam, you can't hide behind such statements. You have to come and act. You have to show that you are concerned. You have to come out of your political shell and do some developmental works.
Sir, I'm sure it's very easy for you to say that because you're in opposition, but I can give you 10 instances.
What were you saying when you were in opposition?
Sir, please don't interrupt.
Sir, one at a time. Let her make her argument. I'll come back to you, sir. Let her make her argument. Please go ahead, Aishwarya.
For somebody that acts holier than thou and wants to preach, let me tell you this. The government that came into power inherited the sort of absolute apathetic and completely destroyed sort of Bangalore, whether it was the floods, whether it was the metro pillar falling, whether it's the CM himself saying that Cord Road cannot be navigated even though he had just inaugurated it, whether it's the metro station that started flooding after the Prime Minister inaugurated it before elections. You realize that we inherited an absolutely pathetic and abysmal sort of administration after the 40% BJP government. What are we doing different? We sent every one of the tendered works to audit and said if it does not match up to standards, the contractor will be held personally responsible. With regard to the metro pillar that fell, the BJP had awarded the company that constructed the metro pillar another tender in Kalburgi, which we have cancelled. And we have taken proactive action. Mr. DK Shivkumar has not only started Brand Bengaluru, but is meeting every single stakeholder. And you want to talk high and mighty. Where did this happen? This happened in Madhepura. I did not come to this debate to point fingers. But if you really want to point a finger at me, the BJP really has to look at the four other and that were pointing at you. For the sort of ridiculous corruption you indulged in. You all are nothing more than a machinery of absolute apathy And that is
BJP
reflected.
was
You
running
finally have a
Madhepura.
leader of opposition
All
who
right.
says
Is
negligence.
it the
What
BJP
happened
All
when
right,
he was...
Aishwarya, you've made your points. Dr. Rangappa, Dr. Rangappa, please. The BJP, please.
Embarrassing for everybody.
You've made your point, Aishwarya. Dr. Rangappa, please go ahead. Yes.
See, the very fact that they are trying to shy away from their responsibility is made obvious by the statement that the Madhepura MLA belongs to an X party, Y party, Z party. The responsibility of the whole state lies with the hands of the Congress government, which is paralyzed, which is sleeping, which is squabbling amongst themselves. Madam, the most unfortunate thing is the Chief Minister of Karnataka is on the back foot, defending his son in corruption charges, in transfers and taking money and transferring
Aishwarya, now let him make his argument. Now, I did not let him interrupt you.
activity. So, where is he? So, where is he heading to? Is he thinking about other developmental works, or is he thinking about?
All right, I have last 1 minute on the show, and I have indulged both the BJP and the Congress in the political blame game that does not befit, frankly, either of you. It's a very unfortunate incident. I mean, imagine somebody lost their wife, somebody lost their daughter for no fault of them. They were merely walking on a footpath which is meant for pedestrians, and they lost their life in this gruesome manner. Imagine what the family must be going through. Aishwarya, there might be a history of corruption and misappropriation in Bengaluru. You are the elected government with a thumping majority in the state. You have much to do.
Let me make this very, very clear. What has happened is something that is absolutely unpardonable, and we're going to work to make sure this never happens. Moving above and beyond political bickering, I think that my government has taken responsibility, has also taken moral responsibility, and we are going to obviously see action being taken, because all of us need to rise above. When the BJP has 100 different, the standard game plate that they have for
I'm sorry,
everybody.
I'm completely out of time, but Aishwarya, I appreciate you say that we have to rise above petty politics, and I hope we rise above petty politics and no other 23-year-old mother loses their life with their infant in their hands because they were electrocuted on a road in Bengaluru. We'll continue tracking that story much more here on CNN News 18. That's a wrap on this edition of Brass Tacks. Thank you so much for watching.